Hello and welcome to the Housing Renewal session. In this presentation, you will learn about applying for housing for the 2019-2020 academic year.
First, let's discuss housing options and features. In Housing 1 and Housing 4, they are two-bedroom apartments. In Housing 1, you can have either 2 people or 3 people in a bedroom. In Housing 4, each bedroom only has 2 people. In both, you have a kitchen, bathroom, living room, and dining area. Because there is a full kitchen in both Housing 1 and Housing 4, no meal plan is required, although you are still allowed to pick one if you so choose. There's community laundry areas for both Housing 1 complex and Housing 4 complex. Please note, in Housing 4, the beds are lofted above the desks and dressers. In Housing 5, it is a 4-bedroom apartment. This means each individual resident gets their own bedroom. There's a kitchenette, which comes with a full-size refrigerator and freezer, a full microwave. However, because there is no stove or oven, you are required to have a meal plan in this area. The apartment also has a living room, dining area, and separate shower room, vanity, and toilet. This building has 3 floors, however, there is an elevator in each building. Every Housing 5 building has its own laundry room. There's 2 study lounges in each Housing 5 building, and 1 first-floor common lounge that features an HD television, pool table, and vending machines.
Chris Galp features doubles, triples, and joined doubles. Doubles house 2 students, triples house 3 students, and joined doubles are 2 double bedrooms attached to each other. All rooms are large and spacious. At Chris Galp, there's on-site laundry, as well as HD TVs provided in all the bedrooms. There's workout equipment, simple cardio machines, on the 2nd floor lounge. Chris Galp has a small kitchenette with a sink, a mini fridge freezer, and a microwave. Because there's not a full kitchen, a meal plan is required at Chris Galp. Outside, you will find ample parking, but transportation is still provided to and from Chris Galp. In Atlantic City, we have studios, 2-person privates, 4-person shared, 4-person private, and 6-person private apartments. All apartments come with a full kitchen, including a full-size refrigerator, a range with a stove and oven, a living room, 1 to 2 bathrooms, depending on the apartment setup, and vicinity right next to the boardwalk. There's a food court across the street in the academic center. There's a gym in building on the ground floor, and as noted, because of the full kitchens, no meal plan is required. There's 24-hour on-site security, as well as a monitored parking garage right next door. Transportation is provided to and from Atlantic City, with the shuttle buses picking up right behind the academic center. Within our housing areas, we also offer special opportunity housing. The first example is recovery housing. This is established since fall of 2017. The goal of this area is to help students in a supportive environment to achieve their academic goals. The requirements to live in recovery housing is that you must be an active Stockton student, be eligible to live on campus, have an in-person or phone interview with the Director of Counseling and the Assistant Director of Counseling, as well as an in-person or phone interview with the Associate Director of Residential Life or their designee. If you or someone you know may be interested in the recovery community, please email recoveryhousing@stockton.edu. You may also reach out to Patricia Kelly, the Associate Director of Residential Life, or Michael Levin, the Assistant Director of Counseling, for more details.
New this year to Stockton University Residential Life, in partnership with the Office of Military and Veteran Services, we are proud to offer the first ever military-affiliated student housing. This housing will be specifically tailored to those who have served or are actively serving, or those who have relatives who are or have served our military and armed forces. This housing will be developed and provided in Atlantic City, and we'll learn more on the next slide. Now, I'm going to rehash a little bit of what's in Atlantic City, so bear with me. Atlantic City Residential Complex has beachfront living and learning. There is the full kitchen. There is the ability for single or double bedrooms with several bathrooms depending on what floor model you have. There's the free shuttle between campuses. The full gym is open 7 days a week. There's a game room and programming area, free Wi-Fi and cable TV signal. There's laundry on every floor. There's a 24/7 parking garage access. There is that food court across the street. You are 2 miles from the Acme Market, and there's 24/7 on-site police and security. More specifically, for the military-affiliated section of this, these are the benefits of being able to live in this community. As a military-affiliated individual, you'd be able to enjoy programming that we have specifically tailored and designed for those students affiliated with the military. You'd be able to live with other students who have served, are serving, or are immediately related to these members. You'll have the joint effort from both the Office of Military and Veteran Services and Residential Life, providing you with programs that we have specifically designed around learning outcomes that try to meet the need that are specifically tailored from our military-affiliated students. You'll be able to participate in as much or in as little as you want. The option exists for you to make. And if you are one of those individuals who benefits from a basic allowance for housing or your BAH, our 12-month housing contracts combined with your BAH would provide you with little to no out-of-pocket expenses for year-round living in Atlantic City while you're an active student. Please note, this is based on an E4 BAH and the projected 2019-2020 Stockton housing costs. For more information, we will definitely provide you with the ability to sign up and let us know if you'd like to live amongst other military-affiliated students. As a lasting note, our anticipation is to also be able to provide you with an RA who has a military background as well.
Step 1 is the first part of the housing renewal process and takes place from February 1st to March 5th. In Step 1, students are asked to sign the housing contract and submit a $50 renewal deposit. These two components are what counts your application as complete, yet there's more to the application, which we'll go over in this presentation. As some additional information, if you're a resident assistant, please contact your complex director for more details about your housing deposit. If you're in the honors program, please contact the honors coordinator to find out more information on your housing selection process. Finally, if you're an EOF student, please contact the EOF office regarding your housing deposit status. To get to the housing application, you need to get to the housing portal. This can be found by going to the Stockton website and going to your Go portal. At the top of the website, click on the Go icon. Within your Go portal, click on the Student Life tab. In this section, you will find the Residential Life and Housing Information box. The first link is the academic year 1920 residential application. This is the link you want that'll take you to your housing portal. This brings you to your landing page of your housing portal. To find the available applications, click on the Application and Room Selection link at the top. When the page loads, you will see what available applications there are. The one we're interested in is academic year 1920. Note, there are other applications that may become available, for example, summer 2019. However, to check the status or continue with your application, you want to make sure you're always choosing the correct term. In this case, academic year 1920. As you begin your application, the first page you're brought to is the housing contract. It's important to read through all the details of the housing contract so you know what you're signing. No matter what device you're looking at, to go through the contract you'll need to continue to scroll down until you get to the bottom where you'll be able to sign the contract. When you get to the bottom of the contract page, you'll find several checkboxes that need your attention. Compared to last year, we have streamlined the application process to have both the 9 and 12-month contract on one application. So it's a little different if you're joining us again for another year. If you want housing for the fall 19, spring 20 academic semesters, you must select the first checkbox, which is your academic year 2019-2020 9-month contract. If you're interested in joining us for a whole year, which is the 12-month contract, you will also select winter 2019-2020 and summer 2020. 9-month students will only select the first checkbox. 12-month students must select all 3. If you know you're going to live on campus just for the fall and spring, but decide you want to maybe add the winter, you can select that 1 extra box right now. Or if you know you want to skip out the winter but add the summer, you can also select the summer instead. So just know, if you're signing up for the academic semesters but want to add 1 extra break term, you can do that right from this page. However, once again, 12-month students have to select all 3 boxes, whereas just the fall and spring must select the first checkbox. One note about the 12-month contract for this year is that we will be offering 12-month housing in every housing location. Past, it was just Atlantic City, but now you'll be able to reside anywhere in Atlantic City or Galloway for the academic year. For the fall, winter, and spring, you will stay in your housing assignment, but for the summer 2020, all housing for the summer will be in Atlantic City. Once you've made your selection of what sessions you want, you will proceed to provide us with your electronic signature. Please enter your initials in the signature box, and then click I agree to continue with the application.
When you've reached this portion of the contract, this is the renewal student payment. This is how you pay your housing deposit for the 2019-2020 application. If you're a renewal student, your amount will be $50. You'll simply click where it says Pay Online here, and that'll take you to the Bursar site website so that you'd be able to pay your $50 either by electronic check or credit card. Please note, if you just click Save and Continue, this does not mean that you've paid your housing deposit. Additionally, students that are in EOF must contact Housing and Residential Life to have your $50 deposit waived. After paying online and clicking Save and Continue, you can move on with the contract. It will take upwards of 2 business days for your deposit to be applied to your contract, so please make sure to do this as soon as possible. For your information, when you go in to pay your deposit, the screen will look like this. It's important for you to select the term that this deposit's being applied to. In this instance, you'll be selecting Fall 2019. For selecting your deposit payment type, you'll have the option of either clicking the Housing Acceptance Returning, which is for any student who is living in housing currently, and is the amount of $50. If you're watching this, or someone that you intend to live with is going to be a new residential student, they must pay $150 for their housing deposit. Students that are studying abroad, Washington, D.C. internship, or the Disney internship will be allowed to be honored with the $50 returning student fee. Additionally, please note you must go through the amount payment method confirmation to ensure that your deposit has been accepted. Last but not least, a reminder, it does take a couple business days for this to be applied to your housing application.
Shortly after Step 1, we move right into Step 2 of the housing renewal process. This is where students form roommate groups. Step 2 is open from March 1st to March 22nd, 2019. We always encourage students to create full roommate groups as they will receive priority time slots when it comes to housing selection. Full groups are groups of 4, 5, or 6. Note that groups of 5 will be able to select from 5-person Housing 1 apartments, and groups of 6 will be able to select from 6-person Atlantic City apartments. You can also have other size groups, including groups of 1, which means the student will go solo, groups of 2, or groups of 3. But please keep in mind that full groups will receive a priority selection time. When you have a group, it is important to select a responsible group leader. We will emphasize why a responsible group leader is important in this presentation. But that responsible group leader will create a group name as well as a password so your group can be found. Group members can be searched by their name or Z number. Please keep in mind that Z numbers start with a Z00 followed by your 6-digit student number. It's also important to note that groups can only find group members who have completed Step 1. That's why it's important to make sure that anyone you want to live with has completed Step 1 on time. For some students, Step 2 involves forming special groups. As an example, gender-inclusive housing is available, in which students can form roommate groups regardless of gender identities or expressions. We also have the Live Lavender TLC as an option. Students interested in these options should contact housing@stockton.edu, and we will provide more information on how to sign up for gender-inclusive housing. Students in the honors program interested in honors housing should reach out to the honors program for more details. Current RAs should contact their complex directors when they know their assignment. You will receive a roommate group form to complete. If you're a student who is applying to be an RA, you will find out the status of your application before Step 2 ends. We always recommend make plans as if you didn't get the position just in case. But once you know whether you are successful in the application or not, you'll be able to pull in roommates if you're in an area where the RAs have roommates, such as housing 1, 4, or 5. There will also be additional details on special opportunity housing, but those will come out to your email address.
Now, part of building that large group so that you can get the best time slot possible is finding roommates. Now, if you already have all your roommates set up, that's great. But if you're looking to add 1 or 2 to your group, or if you're currently a single passenger rider, this is the place for you to go. Residential Life and the Residence Hall Association, also known as RHA, will be putting on not just 1, but 2 roommate socials this year. These will be on March 6th and March 18th. Historically speaking, the way these events have worked was that you'd be able to easily identify who's looking for what. This is a good place for you to talk to potential roommates, see where they might be trying to live, what their backup places are, and making sure that you all have some similar way and form of fashion of living in your apartment. So keep an eye out for an email with more information. At this point, let's discuss time slots. Now, you will receive an email with your time slot. It's about getting the best time slot to get the most likely chance that you'll get one of your top choices. To do this, you're going to want to get a full group. This means developing a group of 4 students or 5 students. Now, if you have a group of 5, then you'll be able to select the Housing 1 5-person apartments. So, if your goal is to live in a Housing 1 5-person, you are strongly encouraged to make a group of 5. The time slots will be given out based on complete groups. So, if you have a group of 1, 2, or 3, you might still get a decent time slot. However, groups of 4 would have priority. If you're looking to live in Atlantic City, we'll be sending you an email on those priority time slots, giving you the ability to select your Atlantic City area first. A couple things to think about, once again, with Atlantic City, is that if you have a 12-month contract, your group will get priority. In Atlantic City, those students who pick 12-month contracts and have the largest groups would get priority. Then after that, it would go to 12-month Atlantic City with smaller groups. Then after that, it would go those students looking for priority in Atlantic City. Please note that in any instance, only the group leader will receive the time slot email. So if you're the group leader, your responsibility is to make sure that you're checking your email to get your time slot. Non-Atlantic City priority time slots will be emailed out on March 25th. If you're a group member, your responsibility during this time is to make sure to check in with your group leader at the end of the day to make sure that they've received your group's time slot. Now, when you're picking your group and you're building your group's number of students in it and you're selecting a group leader, you need to have the conversation. The conversation of what housing are we going for? What's our top priority? But you'd be remiss if you only chose one top option. As you see on your screen right now, these are the number of anticipated beds that we have in Atlantic City, Housing 1, Housing 4, Housing 5, and Chris Galp. What does this mean? If we have 1,000 renewal students and everyone decides Chris Galp is their number one, well, then we're going to have 920 very disappointed students. What's important here is to make reasonable expectations of how this process goes. Make backup plans. If your time slot comes up and your first option, or if even your second option is not there, you want to make sure that you have something to work from. In this instance, let's say, for example, your group decides we want Atlantic City. Let's say you didn't do the Atlantic City priority day, but you decide you'll wait till the normal selection day. If by your time slot, Atlantic City's 410 beds are all full, chances are you'll have to be selecting from Housing 1, 4, 5, or Chris Galp. In that instance, you as a group should have discussed and decided what's your second and third choices. It is extremely rare for us to have our students have to go past the top 3 choices. Now, when we say reasonable backup ideas, we mean if you want to be in Housing 5 as your first choice, a good first choice is Housing 5. Not such a good choice would be, okay, well, if we don't get Housing 5 Carrier Hall, then our second backup choice will be Housing 5 Laurel Hall. This is still putting you in a position where you haven't really had those honest conversations to make sure that you are at least content with what you end up selecting during this process. So a good idea would be, if Housing 5 is your number one choice, Housing 5 is the first priority you go for. Then have a conversation. Well, is it important for us to have our individual bedrooms? Then maybe you're looking at Atlantic City as your second choice. Conversely, if you're looking at cost and trying to not have a meal plan, and you want an individual bedroom, then Atlantic City might be your first choice. If Atlantic City's all out, then maybe you have a conversation as a group beforehand. If Atlantic City's not there, do we prefer to go to try to Housing 5 with an individual bedroom, but having a meal plan? Or is it more important for us to not have a meal plan and therefore choose Housing 1 or Housing 4?
Step 3 involves some important dates that all groups should keep in mind. Sunday, March 24th, is the first selection day. This day will be available to any groups who indicate they would like to live in Atlantic City. The group leader will receive a time slot which will be emailed out by April 23rd. Remember, be in touch with your group leader to make sure they received a time slot if your group is interested in living in Atlantic City. After the AC priority date, we will also be doing selection days on Tuesday, March 26th, and Wednesday, April 3rd. These days are your preceptoral advising days. On these days, all group leaders will receive a time slot which will let them know which date and what time they're able to select housing. All housing areas will be available to choose from on these 2 dates, including Atlantic City, Housing 1, Housing 4, Housing 5, and Chris Galp. Make sure your group leader has received their time slot so you know when you'll be selecting housing. Our secondary time slots, after the AC selection day, should be going out on March 25th. If any group or student has not completed Step 1 or Step 2, we will also have a late application date to select housing on Wednesday, April 10th. There's still some discussion you and your group members should have before selection day. Your group leader should have a full understanding of what your group as a whole is looking for, so this means having an earnest and honest conversation with each other. Housing preferences may go beyond just the housing areas, such as Housing 1 over Housing 4, but also an idea of the specifics in the area. If you and your group know you want the ground floor of Housing 1 because it makes it easier for move-in come September, that's something that you and your group should talk about. And these kind of conversations should help you and your group members come up with a good priority list. As a reminder, having a reliable group leader also comes into effect once they found an apartment during the time slot day. The group leader is responsible for placing each member into bed. That's important because if you're in an apartment that has shared bedrooms, you want to make sure who in your group is sharing rooms with each group member. So your group leader should have a good understanding of how everyone will be assigned 2 beds come selection day. It's step 3, and your time slot day has arrived. This is a day that your group leader should know what their time slot is by checking their email, and you as a group member should make sure your group leader has received that email. On the day of selection, your group leader will log into their housing application, which once again is found under the Go portal, the Residential Life section of the Student Life tab. In their housing application, they will find a new tab at the start of their time slot in which they'll be able to choose the housing area, the room or apartment location, the room or apartment number, and then the beds to assign each group member to. Reminder, group leader has to assign each group member to a bed. One of the suggestions that we can give for your selection day is come choose housing where our staff members will be. We will send out an email with an announcement about where members of our office will be located across campus to assist you and your group members with choosing housing. It's always a good idea to bring your laptop by and choose housing with us there so we can help answer questions, give information, or troubleshoot should it be needed.
So, once you've selected your housing, it's important to note that once a student is in bed, whether they themselves or their group leader has placed them, they have fulfilled the housing contract. This means at this point, if you were to cancel your housing, you would be susceptible to the $500 housing cancellation fee. If a student decides to cancel their housing without being placed in a bed, they would forfeit their housing deposit, but not be charged the $500 cancellation fee. Now, our office does reassign you sometimes as needed. So if there's an instance where you selected a room, but we have to move you for some reason, we'll definitely let you know. But in most cases, you won't have to worry about this. Now, here's the deal. At this point, you've selected your housing. And perhaps you're thinking, well, this wasn't the one that we wanted. This wasn't our first choice. There is some room for improvement. We work over the summertime, making moves, cancellations, and swaps to give you the best chance to get to one housing that you might want over another. However, and this is important to know, if you are not in a room assigned to a bed, you cannot be placed on the wait list. This wait list exists for us to help all of those students who are going to be residents in the fall 19, spring 20 academic year. Additionally, it's important to know that as you are going through and selecting those first, second, and third priorities, to make sure you are being realistic so that if we're not able to help you this summer, you are in a place that you can live in, that you can find acceptable. But again, to reiterate one last time, we will work with you and for you throughout the entire summer. We make moves every day, every week, trying to make sure that we help accommodate as many residential students for 1920 get places they want to comfortably live in as possible. At this point, the housing renewal process will be complete. Now, we just want to cover a couple things one more time to reiterate the importance of each of them. Step 1, make sure you pay your housing deposit. Check that application status link on your application and just double check, make sure your application is complete. If it's not complete and students try to find you, they will not be able to add you to their group, and it may delay your ability to get the best housing that you're looking for. The deposit may take a few days, but if it comes to 3 days later and you still don't have the housing deposit, give us a call or shoot us an email, and we'll check on it for you. Please remember, this is business days, so if you pay it Friday end of day, you might not see action on it until Wednesday. Choose a dependable group leader. I cannot express to you enough how important that is. We've had some instances where a group leader forgets, and unfortunately that puts students in a position where their time slot becomes a moot point. So make sure you find someone who can definitely be in position to select your housing. Once your time slot opens and comes and goes, there's nothing we can do to reopen it and what was available at the beginning of your time slot. Create the preference list for housing with realistic backup plans. Again, remember, if you really want housing 4, Building 81, Building 83, Building 87 should not be your top 3 housing choices. Housing 4 should be your top choice, and then deciding from there what you look to do. Make sure you talk with your group leader on the 23rd of March or the 25th of March, depending on if you're looking for Priority Atlantic City on the 23rd or General Pool on the 25th. If you're the group leader, you're going to want to check your email and make sure you got your time slot. In the event the 23rd comes for AC Priority or the 25th comes for General Priority, and you have not received your time slot, then on March 24th for AC Priority or March 26th, contact us. Let us know, and we'll look into it for you. We will provide you emails in the near future with our locations on campus where we will be in both Galloway and Atlantic City if you want to be able to select your housing and have someone in the room to assist you. We will provide you that in an email with detailed instructions. Now, you can perfectly select your housing from your own location, your apartment, your home, a computer lab, or anywhere that has internet access. However, if you want to come and see us, if you have any questions, or if something doesn't look right, let us know. And lastly, be realistic and consider all housing options. Some people will not be able to get their top choice. Unfortunately, as we said before, if everyone chose Atlantic City and all 400 some odd beds that were available were gone at that point, you need to be ready to take a hard look at your list and your preferences.
Before we conclude this session, I do want to bring up the topic of the housing survey. This survey has been sent out to any students currently residing on campus. It's important for you to take some time to fill it out because we do rely on this feedback so we can continue to make housing better for you. For taking the time to complete the survey, you'll also automatically be entered for a grand prize of a Beats Studio 3 wireless headphones and runner-up prizes of $50 Target gift cards. The winners will be selected on March 25th, so be sure to complete your housing survey by March 22nd.